Okay, it is 6 p.m. This is March 14th, 2024, 6 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Welcome to everyone that experienced the time change. This is the Public Safety Commission meeting for the City of Desert Hot Springs. Mr. Soriano, can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Lozano?
Here.
Commissioner M. Mitchell?
Here.
Commissioner Rizzio?
Here.
Vice Chair Cross?
Here.
And Chairman K. Mitchell.
Present. Thank you. And at this time, if we could have Commissioner Lozano lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Place your hand over your heart, your right hand. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lozano. Okay. Have we all had a chance to peruse the agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
We have. Very well. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I approve the agenda.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Lozano, seconded by Commissioner Martin Mitchell. If there's no discussion, please vote.
Did I get it? Did you get mine? I don't know. It's right here. Oh, there it is. Okay. Sorry. I was using this.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, very well, thank you. Okay, I'll make that go away. Have we had a chance to peruse the minutes from the preceding meeting?
Yes, I have.
Very good. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I move that we approve the minutes.
I'll second the motion.
Moved by Commissioner Martin Mitchell, seconded by Commissioner Caden Cross. If there's no further discussion, please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Excellent. Very well. We now move to the public comments portion of the meeting. We do have a speaker card, and as such, I will go ahead and I'll read the admonition. At this time, pursuant to the Brown Act, any person may comment on matters of general interest within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Public Safety Commission that is not listed on the agenda. Under the Brown Act, the Public Safety Commission should not take action on or discuss matters raised during public comment portion of the agenda that are not listed on the agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Speakers may not yield their time to others without consent of the chair. All comments are to be directed to the Public Safety Commission and shall be devoid of any personal attacks. Members of the public are expected to maintain a professional, courteous decorum during public comments. Please complete and submit a speaker card to the city clerk. You will be asked to state your name and city of residence for the record. I do have a speaker card present. It is for, please correct me if I mispronounce your name. I'll do my best. Kathy Kuzmich. Okay, and please speak. On the microphone, there is a button in the center that should activate the mic, and you have 3 minutes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Kathleen Kusmich. I live in Desert Hot Springs, 11550 Chola Drive, right across from the high school. But I go to the senior center almost daily. Now, there is a safety issue with the buses that park along West Drive. When you get 3 buses, 2 here and 1 there, it's like trying to get around 3 whales. And it's unsafe. We have senior citizens there. We have children. We have adults in there playing on their park there. And they come flying out. You can't see around the buses to see if somebody's coming or somebody trying to get out into the street. It is a safety hazard. I have 2 pages of names of people from the senior center who are concerned about this issue. Now, I didn't take pictures because I figure that's, might be your job to figure if there's something that has to be done. But when 3 buses line up, letting people off, taking people on, it's a hazard. It is a true physical hazard. So I wanted to bring this to the attention of the safety committee, because the safety committee goes and looks into the police, the fire department, who's right there, look into this issue and see if there's anything we can do. So be my statements. And he knows me, I'm the troublemaker from the civics class, so hey, I take up all kinds of issues. Any questions?
Well, you still have a minute if there's anything
I
further you'd
know,
like to
that's what I'm
say.
saying. There's nothing else I can tell you. It's a safety issue. Those 3 buses are, you cannot see around them. You can't see down to Pearson to see if a car's coming. You can't see down west if a bus is parked over here. You can't see. And we have elderly people who drive, but maybe they don't drive so good and can't stop that fast. There's children riding their bicycles, their skateboards, their whatever. There's going to be an accident there. And I don't want to be the one to say, I told you so. So I give up my 31 seconds because this is an important issue. Whether you think it is or not, something has to be done.
These
All right.
are,
Thank you very much. Do we have questions for our speaker?
these are Laidlaw buses, correct?
They're regular buses that drive all over the place. I don't know what company rides the buses. They're not school buses. Yeah, Sunline.
Oh, okay.
So, but I mean, they're hazards. They're huge.
Have you talked to Sunline?
Well, Sunline comes in to use our bathroom all the time. And they said I need to go to somebody else, but I needed to come to you so that you would understand there is a problem, and if the city can't solve it from the city's point of view, then what's me gonna do? Unless I take all these people with me, what are we gonna do with a bus company who's makes money off of letting people on and off? This is a problem, and there's gonna be an accident.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, if I may, so we can have staff look at it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for your comments.
Okay,
We will
should I
take- we'll
leave
take-
this with him?
You may. There are members of staff that can look into the matter.
Thank you.
You know, it's well advised. You know, we see
Well,
your
it won't be
point.
hard. You just have to park there and watch when 3 buses are sitting
All
there.
right.
Sure. I actually patronize Sunline Transit from time to time, and I've been on the bus when they park there. So, you know, I can understand where you're coming from.
I don't want anybody hurt.
And we're going to refer this to staff and take an investigation to see if we can get a solution.
Okay, yeah, and then I'll personally, I'll go to the senior center and I'd be happy to check it out and look at it for you.
Oh, you can come as often as you want.
I've gone with my grandma and I always enjoy going, so I'll make sure to stop by and wait around and see the buses.
Yeah. Okay, and then I expect you guys to look into it. Because you're safety.
Don't the buses, when they do park like that, don't they, I haven't been on a bus for 30 years, have flags, you know?
School buses. have-
Those are school
Yeah,
buses,
the school
yeah.
buses,
They don't
okay.
have anything
Well,
on
why
the buses
couldn't
that helps
Sunline
you
have
see
it?
around-
Yeah.
There's nothing on the back of the
Yeah.
bus that helps you see around the bus.
Okay,
And in order to see around the bus, you have to be in the street. And if you're in the street, somebody's gonna get you.
okay, I don't think it would be very difficult for them to deal with this, as long as we bring it to their notice,
Yeah, I don't think it would be either. I
yeah,
really don't.
loudly, yeah, it's not a problem.
Call us if you need us.
Thank you, dear.
All right, well, thank you for those comments.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, you're welcome. I've been here before.
Very well. All right, if there's no further discussion on that particular matter, we'll go ahead and move into our administrative reports. And first up will be our monthly report from the Code Compliance Officer. We don't have one here. They're sick today? Well, on occasion, when we have it, when there's code compliance officer that was absent, the law enforcement took it over, the report. Is there anything from police on that matter? Okay, all right, that's fine. So we will,
We have the report, the February report here. We can,
right, we can peruse it ourselves.
yeah.
If anybody has any questions on the report that's been submitted and is online, we can discuss those. If not, we can move ahead to the animal control report. Are there any questions,
No,
comments?
So I had one question, but I'll move that to the next meeting. But also I'd like to congratulate Mr. Messer on his promotion, even if he's not here tonight.
In absence? You're here. I agree with that. Any further?
I'll wait till the next meeting.
Okay. We'll go ahead and move to the animal control report.
Good evening, Commission. So for the month of February, we started off with 108 intakes, 25 returned to owners, 19 sent to rescue, 18 adoption, 3 bites sent to CVAC. We had 33 taken to vet, 19 deceased on arrival, 0 passed away within the shelter, 8 euthanized, 21 licenses, 22 admin citations issued, 35 warning citations issued, 193 calls for service in total of the month, and unfortunately, Animal Action League bus did not attend in the month of February.
Okay. Well, there seems to be a technical issue. We don't have
we don't have the report.
the actual printed report here in front of us. So if there's any questions for animal control, we'll entertain them at this time. All right. And maybe that's something else that can be tabled to brought back at the next meeting. The actual statistics that you just mentioned
Yes, sir.
in form that we can peruse them, and if we have.
Yeah, I'll
any
make sure to
questions-
get that to you.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Thank you anyway. Thank you for that. The fire department report.
Good evening, Commissioners. So for the month of February, there's 431 total responses within the jurisdiction of Desert Hot Springs. A little bit of a breakdown on how that shook out. Engine 37 responded to 360 of the 431 total responses. There were 69 cases where Desert Hot Springs Resource responded outside of the jurisdiction. However, there were 228 cases where a fire engine outside of the Desert Hot Springs jurisdiction responded in to provide assistance. Your response times improved a little bit for the month of February. They were down to 4.73 from, I believe they were around 5.4 during the previous month. Quick breakdown of the responses: 336 of the 431 for a medical emergency. There was one multi-dwelling fire, what we would call like a duplex or a multifamily dwelling, and the significant incident report is at the bottom of the page there. A total of 11 public service assists, 26 traffic collisions, 1 vehicle fire, 1 wildland fire. We did have the one significant incident, which is summarized in the last page there, and that was that multifamily dwelling structure fire that I had talked about briefly in the 13,000 block of Urbana Avenue. With that, the report is in front of the Commission. I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Questions for the fire chief?
No, I just read that.
I just have, when are we breaking ground for the new fire station again? Or is that scheduled yet?
The groundbreaking is not scheduled. The bids came back. My understanding is staff is going to be discussing and possibly awarding the bid at the next council meeting. As soon as that bid is awarded, then it would move to the next phase, which would be the groundbreaking and the ceremonies.
Okay, thank you.
Additionally, too, a couple updates for the commission. The squad that is scheduled to go to 37 is working its way through the final fabrication and outfitting and putting the equipment on it. Our apparatus committee and our fleet manager flew back east and did the midpoint inspection on the Quint. So the truck, basically at this point it has the cab, the chassis, the motors installed, a lot of the plumbing, the pump is there. and it's starting to come together, and it's looking like a fire truck. So excited. We were told that was the midpoint inspection. I always take these a little loosely when they give us the timelines, just because everything's weird coming out of COVID. We've seen, some significant delays, but the manufacturer was telling us that we're on track for a midsummer delivery. So excited to see that thing come together.
So that would be midsummer this year or midsummer next year?
Yes, sir, midsummer this year.
Midsummer this year. Wow, that's fast.
That's exciting.
And what's the, are you aware of any of the specifications of that piece of apparatus? The ladder height and so forth?
Yes, sir. It's a 105-foot rear mount aerial, so from the ground to the very tip will be 105 feet. It has a 1,250 gallon per minute pump, very capable apparatus, and it's a significant increase over our fire engines as far as compartment space and the equipment that it can carry. We anticipate, or what we call a heavy set of extrication. So it'd be, your jaws of life, but it's a cutter, spreader, rams, advanced rope equipment, and then what we call phase 1, phase 2. So for like our confined space, your non-entry retrievals, your air monitoring, it'll be capable of doing air exchanges to improve the tenability and the environment of anybody that's trapped in a confined space. And then obviously all the firefighting equipment, so saws and jaws. And then we're still working on the ladder complement, but our tractor-drawn aerials carry 278 feet of ground ladders. This is going to be somewhere between 185 and 200 feet. We're still working to meet the DOT requirements as well as NFPA, and that's a specific requirement that's very difficult for us. And we have to have a 7% variance from side to side in weight, and that's for stability control. It helps so that you don't roll the apparatus, but
Oh, yeah. Axle weight distribution and that sort of thing.
yeah, it's a tandem axle as well
Is
on
it?
the rear. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I did briefly see the spec drawing of the apparatus, and I was just curious as to, like you just went over the equipment, much of the equipment that's going to be carried. I did have a question. I don't know which apparatus in your fleet, whether it's an engine duty, a squad duty, a truck duty, or whatever, carries any hazmat decontamination equipment. Because I know where I come from, it was always relegated to the trucks and the rescues.
So are you looking for like specific equipment or just kind of some general?
Well, maybe the establishment of zones, what they carry to establish zones, any PPE, if you're going to be doing decon, you have to be in PPE, structural turnouts, as you're aware.
Correct.
May or may not be enough to, decontaminate some of the people that are coming out of the hot zone. So where that's carried and how that's put together.
Sure. So the hazmat program in Riverside County, every employee is trained to a hazmat first responder operational. So that allows us to do certain things in the environment. The limiting factor, as you mentioned, was our PPE and our turnouts. Once we go, to certain, we get to corrosive chemicals where we have to go into either a Tyvek suit or a level A suit. That is our dedicated hazmat team, which is coming out of Winchester, the French Valley area.
Right.
There are plans within the county fire department to reestablish the hazmat team, which was at Station 81 in Bermuda Dunes. We're hoping that the budget is going to support that this July, just because of the growth of the county and the amount of time that it takes to get that resource out here.
Yes.
As far as decontamination, we're all capable of setting up the zones, and then it just really depends on the level of the entry. So if we go into a level A entry, that depending on the chemical and the scenario, that may be difficult for our engine companies to do the decon on it. It may require more specialized equipment, but we do have the ability through our hazmat team. They have a decon trailer. It is stocked and set up to decontaminate up to 600 patients or personnel through it. Kind of looks like a bounce house. So you have the big bounce houses that blow up. There's a series of water and shower and containment areas for as well where we recollect the water. So very, very robust program. But just as the county continues to expand, it's getting harder and harder to service the demands with only one hazmat team.
Right. Yeah, Riverside, both geographically and demographically, is many times the size of the county that I came from, San Mateo. You know, we have much of the same equipment on our hazmat team as well. But, you know, the way Riverside's laid out, to have one team only, you know, it's kind of taxing, you know, both on the, both on the residents and on the responders, so. But, okay, that's good. And I know you have the hazmat team out of Winchester. Are they all specialists, or
They're all technicians.
they're all technicians?
Yep. So it's a type 1 hazmat unit, and the typing type 1 is the best that you can get when we look at fire scope. So type 1 hazmat, they do all the chemical, radiological. It's a very capable unit. It's incredible the amount of technology that thing has in it. We can actually put a sample into the computer. It analyzes it, and it tells us within a certain accuracy, 99% this is, bleach or waste motor oil. So very capable unit, very capable team, but again, the limitations, the medical monitoring piece, especially for level A entries, they're only legally allowed to do so many entries because of the blood pressure and the monitoring and some other requirements. And we're seeing, with just the increase, there are times where the hazmat team is timed out for the day just because they've already made so many entries. And then we rely on mutual aid from Riverside City and Corona in those circumstances.
Oh, wow, okay, yeah. Yeah, so your type 1 team, I remember you have the capability of categorizing and detecting WMD. That was the big thing as I was walking out the door. They were actually, San Mateo County, I think at the time was type 2. They might have changed in the 8 years hence, but that's interesting. Thank you for that information, and do appreciate it. Any further questions for the fire chief?
Thank you for your service.
Okay. Great, moving on. We'll take a look at the police department's report.
Good evening, Commissioners. For the month of February, total calls for service was 3,085, divided by this breakup of that is 1,151 officer-initiated calls and 1,870 total calls for service. There's a total of 287 traffic stops, 534 building checks, 214 vehicle checks, and 116 pedestrian checks. There are a total of 89 arrests for the month of February and a total of 208 citations issued between moving and misdemeanor. There's nothing reported in regards to crimes against persons for homicide or for the month of February. There's one sexual assault reported, total of 19 assaults between aggravated assault and simple assault, and 12 theft reports, 10 motor vehicle reports, and 4 weapons violations. And also, the deputy chief provided the annual management report. If you had any questions regarding that, I can discuss it.
Questions for the commander?
Yes, so I was reading through the annual management report, and I saw it said that you had Alliance software that wasn't properly forwarding cases to the Detective Bureau. I was wondering if you could just expand on that a bit more.
It was the training that we received, some of the, because I took over the Detective Bureau in October, and some of the cases were forwarded, but the detective sergeant and myself, we didn't know how to delegate the cases or how to check when the cases got forwarded for patrol. So once we got training through that, that's how we figured out when the cases got forwarded over.
Okay, thank you.
Just curious how many cold cases we have.
I would have to look into that. I don't know exactly how many, if it did mention it in here.
Any other questions for the police?
No, I would have to get back to you on that, to
I
research
really
that.
would like to know that.
Okay.
Okay.
Cold cases in regards to homicides or?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just glad to see that there's been a decrease in crime in most areas. Do you know how we compare to other desert cities?
Statistically, I don't know. I believe we were one of the lowest within the desert cities for the homicide rate. We were at 2 for last year,
Yeah.
and it's a significant decrease from the year before. And in regards to other crimes, I don't know what our ratings were in regards to the desert cities.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
so
haven't
from my understanding, from the state of the city, we are the lowest, or one of the lowest as far as crime goes.
Is that based on last year's
Uh,
statistics?
I'm
or-
not sure. I remember at the state of the city, we were quite lower than other desert cities, but I'm not
Yeah.
sure what the exact
Yes,
statistics behind
I've been
that
trying
were.
to find out how we compared for 2023
Mhm.
to other desert cities, and I haven't been able to find that information, so that's why I asked. But I know we've been the lowest for a number of years, which is
Yeah.
a good thing.
And then a few numbers I saw is violent crime decreased by 42%,
Right.
and then robberies by 26%, and then property crime in general by 30%. So those are pretty impressive numbers. Is there, as far as you know, anything that has been done on the policing side that's led to those numbers, or is it just a general trend?
Just increased patrol. Now our staffing is 3 officers and a supervisor for most of our shifts. And we had a couple details where the officers and detectives went out and did suppression details, where they're
Okay.
just targeting certain areas of the city for suppression.
Okay, well,
So that
it's
didn't,
it's evidently working. Thank you very much.
For the chief?
Under the citizens' complaints, the 2 sustained, are those, does that mean that they were found it to be true, or?
Sustained. Yeah, they were the complaints were sustained, so which means it was found to be true.
Okay.
That was a policy violation.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for the chief, Commander?
Thank you for the great work that you do. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. The
Daniel.
report is thorough, and
Yeah.
so thank you for
Very
this
good.
report.
Indeed, it is a thorough report. Congratulations are in order, especially with the reduction in violent crime. I had a question about your staffing, where we stand with your staffing as far as, are we up to 33 officers yet?
No, I have to find out exactly, but I want to say we're at 31. We have 1 currently in the academy, and then we're processing officers right now. But I can't first say 100% sure we are at 31. I have to confirm with the deputy chief what our staffing levels are, but we're getting up there almost to 33.
Okay. Well, I think I mentioned before, we've seen we're thankful for the motor officer's presence and what seems to be an increased presence in traffic enforcement, through citywide. And I offered the opinion to Chief Shaw when he was here. Visibility is very important when it comes to law enforcement. A police officer can be making a traffic stop and let the guy know with a warning. But if the citizen sees that the officer's making the stop, they're going to think twice about, disregarding our traffic laws, and maintaining compliance with them. I did have a concern. I don't know where we stand about cameras throughout the city, I was driving northbound on Palm Drive at Pearson. It had to happen about, maybe 3 weeks ago, maybe a week after the last meeting that we had. And some motorist took it upon himself to use the lane, which is now the bike lane and the right turn lane, and he used it to travel all the way up Palm as far as Mission Lakes Boulevard. And then he made a tire screeching left turn. And I could not identify the vehicle more than a general description as he was driving well above the speed limit. Since those lanes have been changed, I would say 99.9% of the people driving up that thoroughfare obey the new lane markings and lane divisions. But there does seem to be a consistent issue with some folks that just don't seem to be inconvenienced by them, and they disregard them. Just to bring it to your attention, and perhaps if we could, if there are any plans to deploy cameras throughout the city, that maybe if they haven't considered Palm Drive particularly between Pearson and Mission Lakes, perhaps that should be considered.
Right.
That's,
You know, I also noticed that on Mission Lakes and Palm Drive, they do that, what do the cars do, that thing they do, the circles?
The donuts.
Yeah.
I'm
and,
noticing more of that throughout the city too. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, at least once a week. You know, I'm up the hill a little bit, but I can hear them do it, and I have driven down there, and you could see new tread marks or whatever, the screeches and everything. Do you guys ever catch anyone doing that? Or, I mean, that's really scary, you know, if somebody happened to be driving through.
No, not to my knowledge. We haven't got any calls for service for any reckless drivers
Really?
within that area.
Okay, thank you.
yeah, that's one of, there's a couple other areas where it's obvious that's going on. Another area that comes to mind is right off the 62 at the top end of where Pearson meets 62.
Well,
You know, there's an intersection, I guess that's Worley Road, that's immediately next to the state highway, and I guess they're taking advantage of the sparse population and, you know, concomitantly the sparse patrolling to do those kinds of
Right.
things, so.
Yeah, the
You know?
ones I've seen have mostly been on Mission, up and down Mission, but you can't, I mean, it's not a good thing, but I can say it's probably not as bad as it is in cities like Oakland and San Francisco, where they have basically gangs of people who do that, and they block the streets and the intersections, and no one can get by. So these it's bad, but it's probably only individual cars that are doing it, and it's not, so they do it and move on. They're just not there circling and drawing a huge
is it
crowd.
just for fun? Is that what they're doing? I mean, I don't even know how you could do that, but what is the point of that?
Suffice it to say that it's pointless.
Okay,
You
yeah,
know? There really is no point to it, other than juvenile showing off, you know, kids doing dumb things, you know, that, disregarding their own safety and others. But other than that, it's really not.
Well, I would say when you hear it, I would, just call the police to see if they can come. If they're out there for a long time, I would tell anyone just to call the police to see if they can.
right. Well, I
catch
have
them.
gone down there a couple of times just to see, and all I just see is the things, the rings, they're gone. So are these any type of cars that do this, or just?
All types. Well, I would probably venture to guess that many of the vehicles involved are owned by the parents and not necessarily
Yeah.
by the drivers.
Yeah,
But
true.
as a make, model, description, that sort of thing, it can be anything. Pickup trucks, economy cars, electric cars, all kinds of cars do
I
it.
must be that old.
It's an issue. And as Commissioner Mitchell mentioned, the best thing is to call the police. If they're
Absolutely,
available, to
yeah.
have them go out there. Definitely don't try to engage these people because, they can be dangerous as individuals,
Right.
and give our law
You're
enforcement
right.
a chance
You're
to
absolutely right. Yeah.
interact with them and ameliorate the problem. Okay, are there any further questions for law enforcement?
Not for me.
Okay, thank you for that report. That is a very thorough administrative report.
Right.
I want to dive into that even more than I do. Read it. It's like a good book. You can't put it down. Very well. We will segue into the reports from our commissioners. Who would like to go first?
I just actually have one thing I have to look up here. The Crime Victims Week is in April, and we have a peaceful candle meeting, and they go through every person that's passed and how old they were and everything, and it's, the DA is there and several other attorneys are there, and it's a good place to meet people and see what's happening in crime and what has been solved, and it'd be nice to see our commissioners there. I go every year because I've had a tragedy and I've just always been part of that. So it's at the Palm Desert Civic Park. And of course, I did write the date, just a second here. I think it's April 12. Let me see. Of course I didn't write it. But it's worth your time to just see it's on April 23rd. Yeah, at 7 o'clock in Palm Desert, the Civic Park. And it's worth going to meet and greet people. And our law enforcement is there. And I think Jan Pye is our Woman of the Year in Riverside County, yeah. And she's going to be there. So I'm hoping she'll read my son's name. But it's worth going to, and I would love to see any of you there. So, all you guys, are you familiar with that? Do you ever attend it? In the police and fire?
Yes, ma'am, I've attended them in the past.
Good, good. You know,
Thank you for that.
Yeah,
That's good
very-
information.
and then
It's
they
worth
have,
attending.
I think it's the next day when they have the walk in Riverside itself, and we have all the names of the victims and everything that are on walls. It's quite a thing, and we end up at the courthouse, I believe it is, and it's very moving, and it's very worth the time to see what's been done and all that. It's a horrible situation, but it's worth to see what they have done and how well they've done things. So, and my son's name is the third one from the top.
Thank
I know.
you for that.
No, I know.
Appreciate that.
Rod Pacheco, when he was the DA, he put it up there for me. He was a very prominent case out here, and because of my son's case, the first crime sweep in Riverside County was done here. So since then, lots of good things have happened, and they still have them. And I need to talk to someone. I'd like to go on one of them just to see. It's, you know, you can't believe the things you see and hear. But that's it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
again,
you all.
great
I'll
information.
certainly try and make it.
Yeah, here, here. Me too. Who'd like to go next?
I can go. Okay, so in related to illegal dumping, my focus has kind of been on, you know, talking and speaking with people, especially those who might know more. So I plan on meeting with local community activists who have done some work related to illegal dumping. Then I also spoke with one of my former teachers at Desert Hot Springs, and they have an environmental club.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured, in addition to visiting the Public Safety Academy, it'd also be good to stop by and inform them of our efforts, but also get their input too on what can be done.
Okay. Is there a way we could organize? Of course, we're always concerned about the Brown Act. You know, we don't want to convene and perhaps have 3 or more of us there and, you know, be perceived as to be in violation of that. So if we could organize maybe a couple of visits,
Yeah.
you know, maybe to each outfit there at the high school, you know, maybe with 2 of us here, 2 of us there, and another person, so that we can all rotate through and see. I'm very interested in the Public Safety Academy. I think there's some really good things happening there, and the environmental club, and see what they can do for us. If you can figure out the logistics in that and make it available for commissioners to attend, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to do that.
Okay, well, we'll look forward to that, and we'll get an update on the progress at our next meeting.
Wait, may I say something?
Certainly.
I remember none of you were on the board at the time when we had, is it Huber, Mr. Huber? The
Yes.
president, principal or whatever. He has come and spoken a couple of times, and it would be nice if you could arrange for him to come and tell us what's going on. And yes, it's so worth seeing what they're doing there, because we have taken tours as well, and it's worth doing that. Can you, perhaps?
Yeah, I'd be happy to talk to him, and I'm
Yeah.
I'm always happy to get people
Yeah.
here talking. I was very happy to see that lady here.
Yes,
Finally
yes.
getting some input.
Yes. You know, didn't feel so lonely.
Thank you.
Commissioner Rizzio and I met a few weeks ago to begin discussions about emergency preparedness. And so we're going to meet with Deputy Chief Shaw probably next week to discuss emergency preparedness as well as National Night Out next week. And going to plan on scheduling a meeting with the fire chief as well as the city manager so we can get that moving. I've also been involved with the Coachella Valley Disaster Preparedness Network, and I was appointed to their advisory board a couple of weeks ago. So I'm working with them, and they have a ton of resources, so we don't have to recreate the wheel. They have every class that you would want, either through them or through the American Red Cross. They have, I have to mention, Stop the Bleed, which is an excellent class, and it's also, they're assisted by students from our Public Safety Academy. So that's, nice to see, and they are there to help out, and they also do the demonstrations and show people how to, do tourniquets and how to stop the bleeding when there's a serious wound, and that's a class I think everybody should take. And but I'm going to be working with them and through them so we can build our emergency preparedness and maybe have a set of classes that we can recommend that our citizens take.
That sounds excellent. Yeah, CVDPN, they have an impressive array of, offerings, both in their equipment and their classes. And they're all volunteer. That's the amazing thing. They all sign up. That's out of a building that, I guess the building houses nonprofits.
Nonprofits, the RAP building.
The RAP building in, I guess that's Palm Desert.
Palm Desert and, Palm Desert, and Councilwoman Pai is the chair of the RAP Foundation. Yeah, so,
Yeah.
but it's a building that houses all nonprofits, so they don't have to pay exorbitant rents. So they, so they have access to conference rooms there, and their rent is really low. Yeah.
There's some exciting things coming out of that. My own report, I did manage to attend the regional public safety meeting. It's usually held at the Palm Desert Civic Center, as the next one will be. I believe that will be in May. This one was held on the new public safety campus that the city of Indio has constructed. It was, they had an open house. We met at the Indio Police Station, and we toured what will become the new City of Indio Police Station, the new fire station that they're building, and there's also a public safety, which will be combining some ancillary police functions along with the fire prevention folks. So it's impressive to look at. It was impressive to see the sustainability that was incorporated into the design of the buildings. I can speak from experience. When it gets 115 degrees out here and I run my air conditioner, some things come out of my mouth that shouldn't. They have taken all steps to make sure that will not happen in the public buildings. And I was actually hoping to, get a sneak peek and make some suggestions to our own forthcoming public safety campus, which we're waiting with bated breath for. Some of the improvements that we'd like to see in law enforcement and fire, we're going to need expanded quarters, and modernized facilities to make them come true. So that's why I went there. I was able to meet briefly with the mayor of Palm Desert and speak to her about a couple of issues, and with the chairman, who I believe he's a former correctional officer, and I think he was running for another office. I'll have to see what happened with the outcome of that election. I do know that there is I think it's an earthquake symposium or an earthquake class or something coming up on March the 30th.
30th, yeah. March the 30th, Ranch Mirage Library.
Sure. Then they're the one, they come up with the shake house and they go over what's necessary to prepare us for, well, it's probably the inevitable earthquake down here. But, you know, it's important to make the determination. You know, we talk about disaster preparedness and we talk about the earthquakes and we talk about the tropical storms and we talk about, well, now we have to include enemy attack and, you know, what could be coming down the pike for us and things. But also, too, much of what is being taught by, you know, disaster preparedness outfits, if you have a structure fire at your house, if your building burns down, if you have a medical emergency and you're debilitated from something, these are disasters to you. And much of what they're going over can also be applied to, you know, what a smaller scale. It may not affect the community at large, but may affect you. So the training is worthwhile no matter what perspective you're regarding it from. And again, it's congratulations on being appointed to that board. I'm sure it's a mutually beneficial situation, knowing your background in disaster preparedness, and we look forward to hearing more from you on that matter. Is there anything else for the good of the order?
Yes, I have a couple of questions. I wanted to bring up the SOP that I was discussing with you out in the, I shouldn't have been talking about it there, but.
That's okay.
You know, I came onto the Safety Council and I have the Safety Commission, but there is no standard operating procedure to follow. So, you know, I wrote one for the Safety Commission and I submitted it to you. And I'd like you to take that into consideration and implement it so we all are on the same page and we know our job.
Okay.
You know, and another thing that I've noticed in the city too, that I've been here 23 years, is there seems to be a deficiency in safety in intersections in this city. And it's a simple correction of 2 stop signs in some places.
Mm-hmm.
So upon doing my research without an SOP of being a safety commissioner for the city of Desert Hot Springs, I discovered that one of our initiatives for safety is to prevent domestic violence, or try to squish domestic violence in the city.
Mm-hmm.
And that would make it easier on the officers as well.
Sure.
So I did some independent research on the effects of car accidents on domestic violence, and it all roots down to there is no real study, but the car accidents that can be prevented cause hardships with insurance, hardships with jobs, hardships with healing, hardships with medical, hardships with financial. And with a town like this that has a very low demographic of money, you know, the median income.
Sure.
I mean, one simple car accident can cause, you know, 6 months to a year of problems for a family, and especially if they're already, you know, having domestic violence issues, this will amplify it. So what I would like to propose is that we can conduct a citywide evaluation of all the intersections that are considered to be dangerous at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can get that data, and I'm sure they do have it, and it'll let us know, you know, through the proper channels that we can go and do some preventative measures and get some corrections done to prevent, you know, unnecessary car accidents in the city, because I see it a lot, especially where I live.
Sure.
You know, I mean, I see cars flying into people's yards, I see kids getting hit, and this whole 9 yards, and it's just something that can be prevented by some very simple implementations of, you know, signaling devices or stop signs or preventative signs or other measures on the streets and things like that, just to get people to slow down. And you know, I brought this up to other people, and they're like, well, you know, people don't stop. As well, if you come up to a stop sign, you're going to slow down. It's going to change your thought process. If you're coming down the street in a 35-mile-an-hour zone, or you're going 50, and there's a stop sign, you're not going to be going 50 anymore. Into the intersection, maybe you'll be doing 2 miles an hour, 1 mile, maybe you'll roll, or you'll stop. But you know, there's a lot of people that go through the stop signs here as well. I noticed that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big issue. But if we can do something to prevent that and be able to get in there and prevent these accidents from happening, I think it would be a, you know, a long-term effect on the city to where we can minimize domestic violence. Sorry, I'm nervous talking in public. So that's my first initiative coming onto the safety committee that I would like to initiate, along with working with Martin on the emergency response.
Okay. Donna?
I think that some of the issues you're talking about should be presented to the city council, because they have all those records, and
Well, that's why I'm
also
presenting it
it's
here.
is it the planning department that is in charge of all the,
Well, usually when when you're talking about putting in, Gerald, he can correct me if I'm wrong, you're talking about installation of stop signs, traffic
Right,
lights and whatever.
right.
You're talking about public works.
Oh, yeah.
With an
Put
assistant
everybody to
law
public
enforcement.
works, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's, we can refer that if you want the statistics and start to kick it up the ladder, because we've had many people come in here at various times asking for stop signs at various intersections of the city for the reasons that
I
you.
used to be one of
Well,
them.
yeah, for the reasons
I
that
never
you
got an
cited.
answer.
Well, it happens, there's a process to be followed.
Well, I understand that.
Unfortunately. And,
But when 10 years go
Yeah.
by, the process is kind of like,
yeah, sometimes
Yeah.
the process takes 20.
The
And I'm not-
process.
Yeah, I'm not averse to hopping Southwest Airlines and going to Sacramento to say, well, how can we speed up this process?
Yeah.
You don't need to pay for lodging because I got family up there. I'm cool.
well, I mean, the whole thing is about the community, and just getting something initiated to
Yeah.
figure it out is a really good thing. It's a move in the right direction,
Yeah.
I think.
So definitely what we do to get the information that you seek on that matter is to get staff involved.
Yes.
You know, let's work
Perfect.
with law enforcement, let's work with public works. Let's get what information that we have on, targeted intersections, specifically the ones that, I'm sure law enforcement has their
Well,
own
I was
list.
noticing on the fire report that they had traffic collisions, and then they have medical responses. Now, how many of those medical responses were related to traffic collisions? There's no data on there as far as that goes.
No, it's rather complex. So there's a disposition, and so sometimes a traffic collision could be turned into a medical aid, and a medical aid could be turned into a traffic collision. It's fairly rare, and that's why they're separated out. So what we do is we look at the final disposition of the call, and then that's how the statistic is reported.
So is there actually data that is available that shows that those medicals or those car accidents turned into a medical and it originated at a certain intersection or address or anything like that? Is that available?
There are reports and statistics that we can pull where we look at traffic collisions. Even the traffic collisions themselves, they're broken down into several categories.
Okay.
So you have traffic collision with extrication, traffic collision with fire. But we could definitely put some statistics together and map that if that's
Perfect.
something that the commission desires.
Yes, that'd be great. Thank you.
And to answer the other questions you posited, the SOPs and taking a look at that, as it stands, I believe Mr. Soriano sent out a message to commissioners with regards to the standard operating procedures that are delineated in the municipal code. Now, if we have an SOP that is we're going to stick with the theory of concentric circles of authority. As long as the standard operating procedures are stricter than the municipal code, then we could probably implement at least some of them
Well,
with
it's-
let me finish. with the blessing of the subcommittee at the city council level, and the subcommittee that deals with that is Councilmember Gary Gardner and
Okay.
Councilmember Jan Pye. However, having said that, any SOP that exceeds or contradicts what is set forth as our responsibilities are in the municipal code probably cannot be implemented unless it goes back to the voters. Mr. Soriano, you can correct me if I'm incorrect. But we'll definitely take a look at it, and we can get the input of the subcommittee that deals with us, council members Gardner and
Well, I mean,
Pye.
the idea of me submitting that to you is noticing that there's a deficiency, and I wrote it to the guidelines of what the city requires, but it's only an outline.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean, so it's something that we could all view and review and add to it or take away from it, but we do need it.
Well, right, and I've
Yeah.
actually asked that question myself before. Sometimes
Yeah.
you feel like you're wandering through the forest without a flashlight.
I mean,
But,
I'm old military guy, you can't operate without an SOP. Drop in somewhere, everybody does the same thing,
Sure.
You turn it over and you keep on going, so
Oh,
it's
yeah.
the same thing here, you got it.
Well, yeah, there has to
People
be,
coming and going, there has to be
there has to be some
standards and
commonality,
procedures,
and there has to be something that's understandable,
yeah.
and it has to be doable, something that we can implement that doesn't require a whole lot of effort or anything
Yeah.
like that. So we'll look into that.
Well, I mean, we're already following the guidelines, but it's just
Mm-hmm.
to be able to have, when a new commissioner comes on, okay, this is what I'm expected to do.
Yes.
I'm following this guy coming in, and these other men and women are doing their job, and this is what they're doing, this is how I have to comply to
Sure.
the protocol.
And the Unicode spells it out. It doesn't spell out everything. And I think that's where your document may fill some of those gaps. But we'd like to take a look at that. And of course, you know, the interpretation of the code, it was, again, is subject to the city council subcommittee.
Okay, I
So
sent you an
They're the
email.
ones that are gonna make the
Oh,
final,
okay.
final up and down on it.
I sent you an email of that document, and then I wrote a document up of the effects of car accidents on domestic violence, and then I also wrote a document up on requesting the evaluation for the dangerous intersections in the city. And I
Excellent.
sent that as an email to you, so I will give you some.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, if I can make a suggestion. So
Certainly.
the SOPs that you guys are referring to, we can agendize that for the next meeting so that you can have a more at-length discussion. I would like to caution you on the SOPs that you have to stay within, you know, of course, the commission's purview. Secondly, just like we did with the illegal dumping presentation, I can see if staff, someone from engineering is available to make a presentation to the commission about, you know, what the process is. My understanding is that, you know, the city can't just go and put a stop sign where it wants. It has to be warranted. So there has to be a traffic study, of course, that, you know, needs some funding. And then depending on if it's warranted or not, sometimes it could have the opposite effect on safety. But I think it would be appropriate for a staff member to come and give a presentation, and they can answer the questions that you have.
Would it be too much to ask that to be agendized for the next meeting, or should we go 2 meetings out on that?
I can see what their availability is for either the next meeting or the one following.
Okay, so as I know our next meeting is scheduled the second Thursday in April. That's April 11th. That's reasonable. Why don't we go, we'll agendize it based on their availability, and we'll be in contact, but that's taken under advisement, that we could probably definitely take this up, especially with the SOPs, and have a further discussion at that time. Let's agendize that portion of it, the SOP discussion for the next meeting, and we'll dive into this subject a little further, because it is a warranted argument. And it's one that's been mentioned before.
Yeah, and you and I can talk offline if, you know, there's clarification needed.
Okay, very well. I agree. Thank you for that. Anything else for the good of the order?
Well, what we're talking about, we're also talking about our city attorney involvement. She makes it clear what we can and what we cannot do, and I think that her involvement would be very important to hear again, especially to our new commissioners.
Yeah, she usually does a annual contact with us. Usually,
I know,
and it's
but
usually
his
with
questions
the,
are coming up now, is all
yeah,
I'm saying.
she usually
yeah.
comes in when we're doing the ethics class, but we can definitely have her come back in this instance. So if you could ask for,
Yes,
Attorney
so
Mizrahi.
as far as our city attorney, so Jennifer Mizrahi is no longer our city attorney. Our city attorney now is Tuan Vu, who was previously the deputy city attorney. I can, you know, see if he's available to come back, or if not, you know, perhaps, I know there are some previous memos that Ms. Mizrahi has sent the commission over the years. I can probably go and find those, just for your information.
okay.
Is
That would
she
be-
gone with the city, or she
Correct.
just? Really?
Yeah, news to me as well.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Interesting.
Okay. So then, it would be very helpful for the new city attorney for us to get to know him and his views, or how everything should be and what it shouldn't be, and, you know, although Ms. Mizrahi was very clear, it was her view, her way of presenting it, and the new city attorney would have his own way of presenting something, and that we would all learn at the same time. So that's what I think is a good idea, if we can get him to speak with us.
I'll see if that's possible.
Okay. Correct?
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for that. Anybody else? Okay. Well, as always, we thank the representatives of the city services who keep us safe for attending this meeting and divulging, you know, the services you've been providing. We thank you. You guys are busy and taking time out of your profession to come talk to us. To watch a video of this meeting and other meetings dating back to 2009, which include the Planning Commission and the City Council, you may visit the city's website, cityofdhs.org. Our next scheduled meeting, the Public Safety Commission, I believe is April 11th, be the second Thursday of next month. If there's nothing else, we stand adjourned. Thank you for attending, and good night.